Welcome to The Core Truth. I am Peter Hernandez. I am your host, and today I have Heather and Learka from Douglas Elliman as my guests. Welcome.
Hello. Good morning.
Well, good morning for us, maybe not for everyone.
Oh, fair.
We forgot we had global reach for a second.
Right. We have global reach. We're like on the internet. Do you realize that? That's pretty wild, right? Well, good morning to everybody. Good morning, and everything else to everybody else. So I think that's perfect. Yeah, it's really great to have you guys.
So fun to be here.
We've worked together for how long now?
Probably 15 years.
Yeah, 2000. When Telus started.
Yeah,
that's right. Remember that? That was so fun when you guys walked in the doors and we had our first conversation. Why don't we just start off and talk about before real estate, who's Heather and Learka, and just give us a quick rundown.
Do you have a quick minute for every job ever done by
Why not? Let's do it.
All right, let's do it separately. First of all, this is Heather.
I'm Heather.
And I'm Learka. Okay. So most people don't know the difference between us, which is totally fine.
Even our friends call us Hairka and Leather, so it's fine.
We don't care. We'll respond. So, but yeah, the jobs before
the one everyone loves is I was a contractor for the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. I worked for Georgetown. I was an aide to a disabled teenager. I worked as an assistant on a case study on supercomputers and international trade with Pakistan.
Wow.
Quickly, I worked for the Japanese government in Japan, teaching English in their public school system. I worked for a senator. I went to law school. I worked in a hotel. I worked for an actor who moved me to LA.
I was a lit agent. That's screenwriters and film rights to books when Learka was working for an actor.
And so that's basically, I'm sure we've missed a ton of jobs because
I just want to kind of give you guys a title of intelligentsia with a sense of humor. Does that work for you guys?
Yeah. We'll take it.
Educated humor. I love it. Heather and Learka are my erudites in the firm and people that I just respect so much. And I just love hanging around you guys because we're always laughing and having fun and actually having good conversations too, which is really nice. So, God, I mean, that's a pretty, extensive and kind of interesting past, an interesting career, an interesting.
And we always use all of that experience, which is wild. They tell you when you're young,
just
take all kinds of jobs and you'll use all the experience. And we're like, all right.
Yeah. If we'd been real straightforward with the trajectory, we would have probably not been the people we are, and also not be able to advise our clients the way we can advise them because we've had so many great experiences.
Well, like you, Learka, how interesting, for law and then yet working for an actor. I mean, that's kind of different.
Not a normal thing, I guess, but
one was more fun than the other.
and it sounds, Heather, like you might have been in politics a little bit.
I went to Georgetown School of Foreign Service, so that's we do extensive diplomacy and negotiating training there. So that's been really helpful.
Yeah. Did you ever think about pursuing a career in politics? Was that ever on your radar?
I think Learka would be better than I would.
And I did consider it, actually.
I'd be good at governing and Learka'd be good at getting elected. So we'd have to do it together.
I think
that is true. That's good.
That's really good. That's really good.
Yeah, it didn't, but it was one of those things that I definitely thought about it. And that's why I went to law school. But then I figured out that there are other ways to affect change.
And I worked on the neighborhood council here in Los Angeles.
You did?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that.
I think 4 years of that.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. So you entered real estate. Why?
Why? Well, I think that was the luckiest thing because I don't think we understood the difference between being entrepreneurs and having all these fun experiences. Yeah. And the cool thing in most states is that the barrier to entry is kind of low for your real estate license because it creates an entrepreneurial option for people that either don't have family connections or don't have a lot of capital to start a business. It's something you can do a lot of sweat equity work and be successful. So we love having a business. We love having
all the machinations of a business. We love talking about how we're going to do payroll and about health insurance and doing all of that for our employees. So that's something that we really like because we feel like we're contributing to society in a real way.
Like we love offering like jobs that are cool and fulfilling and have professional development options and all that. We have coaches for our employees because
for coaches.
Mhm.
That's great. But I mean, did you guys enter real estate together and say, hey, let's both enter it, or did you meet separately in the field of real estate?
When I left entertainment, I went into real estate as an assistant, just as a temporary thing for a company called Hollywood Land Realty, the company that has the Hollywood sign. I did not know what I was doing. And I didn't know that unlicensed people can't basically sell houses. So don't tell the board I did that.
Right.
So yeah, and I think I did that 3 or 4 years, and I realized I went to Coldwell Banker, and then I realized I needed a partner. Like I thrive on collaboration. I'm not a lone wolf. And so I was like, how do I make this cool job into something that works with the way I work? And it was partnership.
And I had quit my job and was finding myself again.
She was so finding herself.
Were you guys friends before?
Well, Heather sold me my house.
Yeah.
So Heather sold my house. She came up with a business idea, which was to sell her friend, a woman with whom I went to college, and a duplex as a partnership. So
I was like, you're going to have a business with real estate where you have a duplex and you own it with a partner, and then you guys can rent it out or live in it. Like I was so excited about it.
And so her friend was like, I know someone. And I was like, I don't care who that is.
I didn't care at all. I used Learka so hard that first. I just needed someone with half a down payment who seemed responsible. And she's like, my friend just sold her condo in Boston and is moving to LA.
Yeah.
So that was me. And so we became friends. And we had a really a nice friendship. And
it was completely age appropriate that duplex was a party house.
I got a pool table for the garage. Of course, we were going to hang out.
It was so much fun.
It was really, and Heather had a breakup at the time. So she came and like hung out there, was there all the time.
I was there all the time.
So we just had a lot of fun.
It was cheaper than therapy.
So thank goodness I had a crazy idea to open a real estate brokerage called Telus, because if not for that, I would have never met you two. And so you joined us, and you were part of this amazing adventure that included using the internet at Starbucks for a while to start our business.
We were young in the business also, and we were hires, I think 4 and 5, and we had done mostly, again, age appropriate sales, right? With our who we knew. And then we were Telus's first over $1 million sale. It was to my aunt.
It was our first over $1 million sale. It was to Learka's aunt. It was in Malibu. We were so proud of ourselves.
I remember that.
We were competing with no one. I'm sure like the next day, like Melissa all probably like
tripled
in like a $7 million.
Yeah,
right.
And then Ernie did like a 15.
Well, remember Ernie lifted the Hollywood sign right off the bat. Remember that? And the famous hike to the top.
We hiked up to the top.
Yeah.
That's still the only time I've ever done that hike.
Yeah.
Which is like a great example of, we have like a couple business mottos, and one of them is always go. So when we're in the office, someone's like, on Saturday, do you want to hike up to the top of the Cahuenga Peak and behind the Hollywood sign? We're like, of course we do.
Absolutely. What kind of shoes do we wear for that?
Yeah, that was really a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And you guys did really good. And we went through one of the toughest, I think, real estate markets, economic climates that I've ever been exposed to in my 51 years in the business. And that was the 2008, which is when we actually opened Telus. And you guys were there, right from the beginning. And we just fought our way through it. You remember? And I
think people ask us about it, we always say, it was so cool. We had joined this tech forward company, and they had TVs everywhere. And we all had like Macs. And then the TVs came up with a big house graphic and a big red arrow pointing down.
But to your credit, and to everybody at Telus's credit, you guys had coaching, and we showed up every single day through that recession, and we were there, and someone said, you guys have nothing to lose, and we're like, well, that's painful. True, but painful, and so it was one of those, we just kept going and kept being consistent and going through everything.
Yeah.
And
in the kitchen, Ernie said to us, because it was hard, And Ernie said, no, this is great. This is when you get market share. And we were like, and then he like grabs a paper towel with like Ernie flourish and sales off. And we're like nodding. And then we were like talking about it. And we're like, oh, I get it. Because everybody drops out. If you work, you're ready when it turns.
Yeah,
and that's when we found out about working through a downturn.
And Melissa used to call it just hanging on by your fingernails until you get through it. And she was right about that. I mean, so many times we've all done that where we've just had to hang on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The only way out is through.
Yeah, right. But you leveraged Telus really well, and you used all the resources we had. You showed up for the coaching. You know, remember we initiated DocuSign to the industry practically. We've just about nobody in real estate used Max. We were one of the first in that, and you're right. So there was a lot of things that.
Do you know other agents called us and were like, okay, we know
Wait a
you're
minute,
using
stop
DocuSign.
just for a second. Can you imagine that we're bragging about DocuSign and using Max?
Well, that's what it was. They were like, how do we use this? And they were like,
weird because we're 20.
I know.
But they would call us for coaching. They would be like, how do you use this thing, this DocuSign thing?
And now it's AI. Woo!
Yeah. It helped that Learka had a law degree because, like, you know, we were like, no, Learka would say if we shouldn't be doing
Right,
this.
this is legally binding software. We know. We got this.
I know.
So.
I remember Ellen Conrad calling you guys our Ivy Leaguers. You know, you were.
Aw.
Yeah. God bless her.
God.
So
we miss Ellen.
So now all of a sudden, you know, God darn it, they sell to Element. You know what I mean? And we sell the company to Element, and now you're at Douglas Elliman. And what cool to watch you guys while everybody was struggling, almost like the Jews looking back at Egypt. They're free from slavery, but they're actually looking back at it like it was a great time, right?
Yeah.
Most people do that, you know, because change is so difficult. And yet one of the things you guys did is you guys just pivoted immediately. Next thing I know, you're on camels in Dubai, and here we are. We're here at Douglas Elliman, and you're thriving, and that is such a great thing. So how did that?
I think we didn't know to be mad. Like everybody was mad.
Yeah, we didn't. It didn't occur to us to be mad because
why would we be mad? Let's find out what's going on.
I mean, because the only thing that's true in life is change, right? We all know that. So we just went with the flow, but we didn't just go with the flow. We went to New York. We were like, who are these guys? Like, what is this? Let's go meet the people. Let's figure out if it's something that we want to be associated with. And we were
so lucky when we got to New York. Like we thought it was going to be hard or confusing or uncertain or a big decision. And our first meetings were like, oh my God, this is great.
This is,
we love this.
Yeah.
So it appeals to us and our sensibilities because it's such a good brand for us and our clients. So it wasn't a thing. And I think we'd also had that having to explain what Telus was for a decade. So people knew that we weren't, you know, people were used to us explaining where we were and what it was. And that if we trusted it, they would trust coming along with us.
Well, I think when you meet Howard Lorber and you meet, you know, Scott Durkin and you meet Stephen Larkin and you meet, you know, all the people at Element, I think you realize that it's the real deal. And these are people that you want to do business with. So let's talk about the partnership because it's a beautiful partnership. I think it's one of the best I've ever seen. I mean, it's at the Deb Berman and Pat Candell level of partnerships. You know, it's lasting, your friendships, you know, you're friends with each other's, you know, other significant others, everything. I mean, you're just, you know, attached at the hip. You love each other. You love the business. And I watch you guys just work so fluidly in and out of business, social, friend, you know, all that. And it's wonderful to see and to watch. And you don't see a lot of friendships like that. You really don't. You guys are so blessed.
We're really lucky. And I think that's part of it. We know we're really lucky and we work really hard because marriages and partnerships and business relationships, you have to maintain them. And so we learned about 5 years in that you really have to work at it.
Yeah. And that you can't let the resentment build up if there is resentment, and that you have to adapt to the other's way of doing things. And that neither one of our opinion is better than the other. There's no one's more valid than the other. And so I think we learned that and understood that really early on.
Yeah.
We've also been to therapy together.
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, we've been to couples
So you do work on it. It's not
We work really hard
Yeah.
on it because
Oh, wow.
we have a friend who at the time, she's a big producer now, but at the time she was a manager, and she had told us this story about writing partners and their therapist and all this. And we were like, oh my God, that's so smart. We never thought like, oh, it was probably the precursor to us really using coaching together. And in like a macro sense, like we had the real estate coaching. But like more, it was the thing we did in between like real estate coaching and executive coaching. So I think it was really good because there were basics like I didn't understand people were different, which sounds so stupid when I say it out loud. But I was like, why doesn't Learka do that? And the therapist was like, people are different. And I was like, probably not, but I'll talk to you about it.
It's hard when you're so smart to imagine that other people can't just do things so different. And that's Heather to a T. She's brilliant. So
Yeah.
Thank you. But like,
Sure.
yeah. And like just basics that people probably do in couples therapy, like, you know, if your partner's struggling, you go forward into it. You don't like get annoyed and go backwards because then you're both struggling.
But it's antithetical to what you would imagine to be the thing you would want to do. Like, you're like, okay, they're having a hard time. I'm out. You know?
If I'm
That's a
crabby,
natural.
Learka's like, can I get you tea? She's not like, oh. So like, yeah. And then I hear that and I'm like,
it's almost like what this guy said. I think his name is who's running for district attorney for LA. Hatami, is that his name?
Yeah.
You know him? I don't know much about him.
we don't
I
know
heard
him
him.
personally.
I heard him speak though, and he's a big defender of children abuse and making sure people get convicted, and that he sounded like a great guy to me. But what he said was, which is what you just said, was he was in the military. And he says you don't run from battle, you run to battle. You run into battle.
Yeah.
And that's what it sounds like you guys do. You run into the problem to solve it. You don't run away from the problem.
No,
Yeah.
we don't.
The problem just gets bigger if you run away from it.
That's right. That's right. So what else? I mean, you guys divide and conquer at the partnership, or do you do the same stuff? Are you better at different stuff? I mean, how do you guys?
We're definitely better at different stuff, but we do everything together.
We went through a phase where we'd kind of like do what we're better at, but then the things we weren't as good at were kind of atrophying. And then if somebody was out of town, it was like so much harder. So then we kind of, without really discussing it, flipped and started doing the stuff we were struggling more with. And that's been nice because now our skill sets are really balanced out. And if it's super tough on certain things, we might tap each other in, but everybody can do everything.
And our clients don't, I mean, they won't tell us, maybe they do, but neither one, we've never heard anyone say, I only want to talk to Heather. I only want to talk to Learka. They don't, and they also throughout their deal don't mind who they're talking to because they know that we both have all the knowledge. Like we have a morning meeting every morning. So our whole team is caught up on every deal of what's going on.
We have a text chain that will not quit.
I know they want us to get on Slack. We're like, whatever you guys want us to do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I find that, working with like, Stephen and Bill, having partners, to face challenges with, and to sometimes vent with is a really, really, terrific thing and a powerful thing. And I imagine, and I know that lots of agents out there would love to find a partner or be in a partnership. What advice would you give those people in terms of maybe forming a partnership?
We always say the same thing when somebody comes to us and asks like about a partner or finding a partner. If they say to us, how do you split the money? In the first conversation, we usually say it might not be for you.
Because the real question is, how do you split the debt? How do you split the responsibility? How do you split, how you're going to structure your employees and how you're going to deal with all of the things?
How do you split the work?
Right.
If somebody's like, how do you split the work? We're like, oh, okay, that's probably, because it's not for everyone. And we're never saying like everyone should partner.
Yeah.
But we're not saying not everyone can.
Yeah.
And we partner also all the time. Like right now we're partnering with Adam on our listing in Ventura.
We're partnering with Knight Frank in London. So we partner with everybody.
They did photography yesterday on that listing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's really,
we really believe that, that half of something's better than zero of nothing, know, so it's like zero of everything.
Yeah. I mean, I notice in the partnerships I've been in, like sometimes I'll be on a roll. Sometimes I'm in a slump. Sometimes my partners are on a roll. Sometimes they're in a slump. And I think if to your point, Heather, if they ask about the money right off the bat, they sound like they're going to be someone that's going to keep score. Oh, I got a lead, you didn't. I got a listing, you didn't. I
wrote
the
a
sale.
contract at midnight.
And then
you
they
didn't.
tally it, and then they tally it at the end of the year. They cop it a resentment. Next thing you know, they're unhappy, and then that's not how partnerships work.
No,
No.
not at all. Not at all. So, but it's hard to do the balance and stuff. And we are lucky because we started, Heather had started her career earlier than me for sure, but really right when I joined, we didn't even discuss it, but that it was going to be like a complete partnership versus.
Oh, we were 50-50
Yeah.
from the first minute.
Yeah.
Like we didn't have like a ramp up or anything.
Yeah. Oh, because actually the first deal we did together was my neighbors and I had zero experience on it. And Heather, like
I didn't know them and Learka didn't know how to do the deal. So it was 50-50.
So, do you guys have a written partnership agreement?
Yeah.
You do.
I mean,
we
didn't at the beginning.
We didn't at the beginning.
If anyone talks to us about partnerships, we do say you got to do that right away.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it a mistake, but it's something like we should have done sooner than we did.
But we learned, but it's part of how we learned how to be CEOs of a business because we didn't come into it thinking with that mindset. So that's definitely something
we were like,
changed.
let's do this between going out. We were like faxing agreements from Village Idiot, that bar on Melrose that just closed down.
Yeah, we were like with our clients being like, look, you got it.
And
Oh
like
my
running around with
goodness,
the
that's
fax.
hilarious. That's hilarious. So what are some of the elements you think are important in a partnership agreement?
Communication is communication in general, and then communicating everything you have questions about in the partnership agreement. But it's just the breakdown.
It's pretty basic. It's basically like what a.
Oh, it's short. It's not an extensive thing at all.
Yeah, I don't think we even had a lawyer draw it up. I think it was like law.com, documents.com.
It was like 50% of profits, 50% of expenses, 50% on.
Yeah, it's very straightforward. But what was interesting because we definitely needed that for after the fact. For furthering our business, right? Getting what with the PPP stuff, all that.
We had to have a partnership agreement for that.
Great.
So
that's great. One thing that I think describes both of you very much is you both have extreme clarity. There's no like confusion in my mind and or anything like that. And then the other thing is you're so consistent, in so many areas, not only in the professionalism, type of clients you work with, your business model, your humor. Everything is really consistent, everything. And so talk to us a little bit about clarity and consistency and what that means to you.
When we mentor younger agents, we always say, like, figure out who you are. Like, you cannot be a chameleon. Like, that is not a type of agent. Like, you can't have like one client who you do discount stuff for and like they're yelling at you all the time, and and then one client who's like, a totally different area that you don't know about. Like, you can't just every time you meet somebody who wants to work in real estate become what they're asking for.
So
it's
basically you figure out kind of who your clients are going to be. And it takes some time because sometimes you have to work with people where you're like, oh, I would never work with that person again. To kind of go through what you're doing. And then you do that. And then if somebody is in there that doesn't match that, it's easy now for us to be like, okay, we're probably not a match. And we do turn down business if it's not a match, because
they're not going to be happy. We're not going to be happy, and we're going to be busy and not find somebody who is a match.
And life's
and you don't have that luxury at the beginning.
No,
you have to do everything and figure it all out when you're new. But what you should be aiming towards is like clarity of what kind of agent you are. Like, some people are really good at like the analytics. Some people are really fun. Some people are fun and smart. Like, that's
and some people are will enjoy working with new people all the time and moving from deal to deal. Whereas we think of ourselves more as like advisors to our clients. So we more often than not say, how do you hold this house and not sell it and buy the next house? Because that's that we're looking for the long-term gain.
We very much are like an acquisition mindset, because we were talking about this the other day with an agent. I think it was like with Misty or something. We were like, remember when you were new and they were like, you're going to only work with buyers and then you're going to try really hard and then only have listings. And we were like, oh, okay. And then we're like, wait, why would we do that? That doesn't make any sense. Like
For us,
it
just,
Yeah.
because we want to do all of their transactions. So
all
they're
over
going to
the
be
world.
both.
We want to
Yeah.
do their
Right.
transactions all over the world, and wherever they have real estate needs, we want to be part of it.
So who are you? How would you describe yourselves? What's
We're like
your
smart, fun, and incredibly serious about work, but
Yeah.
like, and our thing is like to just be unflappable so that our clients have that emotional rope to have the journey they're going to have.
right?
We have to be
You
process.
know what? I think one of the things we're completely process oriented. And then I think one of the other things that we have achieved over this time is that, again, I think a coach said it to us once, that when you get something, like when something's good, you celebrate it for not more than 24 hours.
A hot minute.
They at that point said 24 hours. When something bad happens in a deal or a deal falls through, you mourn it for 24 hours. We're down to like less than an hour at this
Like
point.
if one of us is like upset about something for more than an hour, we're like, hey, what's going on? Are you sure it's not something else? Because
I love that. Yeah.
yeah.
And that's like,
great.
oh, you're right. My mom's not doing well right
Yeah.
now. You know, like she just
Yeah.
had a hard morning. So I took
it's
that
more
call.
stacking than
Yeah.
like being upset.
Right,
So
right.
yeah.
So speak about consistency. What does that mean to you?
Doing the same thing all the time. Like, don't put up signs for one house and not for another. Don't call all the time for one house and not for another. Like, just do the same thing all the time.
Show up.
If you're going to door knock every time you said you were going to door knock. Whatever it is, if you're consistent, then you have a business. If you're flaky to yourself, like, then you're going to have a problem and it's going to be so stressful.
Yeah. And it's hard. I mean, being accountable to yourself, especially we're super lucky because we have each other, but both of our personalities are structure oriented. So if we didn't have each other, we'd still be on all the 8:30 a.m. calls that Element offers, the coaching calls, all the 9 a.m. calls that they offer that are coaching calls, because that's a great way to set up your day and to be accountable to someone, and so you're showing up, you're doing it, and then you have started your day. It's your day's already started. You're not waiting for the day to start, basically, or waiting for something to happen.
But you can still have like a really good time. That's like what we're passionate about. Like, I mean, is it easy to get up for a call every day if like there's nothing else going on? No, but like then we're all like chatting about something that happened on the Zoom and like just have a good time. Like, this is your life. Just be consistent about your work so that there's space to have fun.
So how would you say it? 100% consistent, 95, 90, 80, 85%?
We do 80% of everything.
I love that. That's my rule.
Hard for me.
It was easy for me because I was the
I'm
B
secretly
student.
doing 85%.
You're the B student.
Don't tell
80. Let's move it on. Perfection is the
That
worst thing.
3.28 GPA.
I mean, if you
That works, right? Who cares?
What do they say? C's get degrees.
Oh my God.
Totally right.
This was
Totally
the hardest thing for me. I would still be working on our first Instagram post right now off to the side if
Oh
somebody
my
had
God.
let me.
Oh my God.
I'd be like, maybe the photos should get filtered.
Let's get it up there. Who
One
cares?
of my biggest challenges right now, I'm at Berkeley College, right? School of Music. I'm getting a bachelor in guitar playing. And I got
So
this
awesome.
class right now I should not have signed up for. I mean, music is like science. I mean, it is math at the highest degree, right?
Yeah.
And then there's dexterity skills, there's like cognizance, there's all this different stuff going on that I'm horrible at. And here I am.
You're you're not horrible at it. Reframe
I'm
that,
getting
Peter.
better at. I'm getting better at.
Yeah,
You're on a journey.
But I'm in this one class, I've gotten straight A's to this point. Now this darn teacher, she alternates between A and B plus, A and B, and it's like she's driving me nuts, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
But who cares? You're doing it. You're there.
Because
Right,
I'm like
Learka.
Heather. I'm like you.
Yeah, no,
Learka.
you're
My
there, right?
wife is saying B's are good, Peter. They're fine.
Yes, I'm totally right there with Carrie. Like, that's it.
I mean, and not to be confused with not like best efforts for clients and taking client stuff very seriously.
Yes, correct.
But like, you just have to get stuff done and push it forward. And that's what the 80 is about.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, if you spend an extra day on photography and it's 5% better, it's like our 80% photos are amazing. Like, we've worked for 20 years. Like,
Yeah, your 80%, everybody else is 110.
and we had to
exactly
work 150 at the beginning. Like that. I mean, I don't think we left town for like
Yeah.
10 years at the beginning.
Right.
I missed some weddings. I missed a lot of stuff. But I mean, that's starting up a business.
That's right.
Learka's dad told us, like when we partnered, that it was going to take at least 5 years. And thank God he did, because it's like dieting. Like you're doing so well for like 6 weeks and you're like eating everything right and working out and you're not going to see any results.
Yeah.
That's
And
right.
then we got double hit with the 5 years coinciding with the, economic apocalypse. So
right.
Oh God, that was
like,
scary.
so it took a little longer, but we
For
got
all the
there.
new agents out there that are stressed when the market turns, like, yeah, it was scary.
Well,
We're still here.
I think that's the key, and that'll lead to this next topic. And when we were setting up and preparing for this call, the thought that came to my mind about you guys that I think is another one of your secret sauces or one of your really best traits is the ability to pivot and to find the opportunity, or at least the mindset and actions to take during a change. And I think I'd love you guys to talk about that. Like, how do you pivot? Is it something that you sit down and talk about and think about, or is it intuitive? Is it instinctual? Is it just that you're both optimists? Because you are optimists, which is amazing for really smart people. Most smart people are not optimists. Have you ever noticed that? They really aren't. They're cynical.
Well, we've both had a lot of personal therapy as well. So, I mean, no, I'm serious. Like,
Learka's dad's a famous Jungian analyst. He wouldn't let us roll around without having gone to therapy.
Yeah. So it's like, the thing we know for sure is that the most important thing in life is relationships. Like, money comes, money goes. But like at the end of the day, it's the relationships, it's the people in your life that matter.
Right.
And so I think that when something changes, we kind of we look for it. We get confused like everybody else. We're not like omniscient on knowing what's going to happen or how we're going to pivot, but we'll try stuff. If it doesn't work, like for example, with the when we first shut down, Heather and everyone thinks that we potted up together right away and that we were together. We didn't see each other for like 2 months because we were so worried, and so we figured out to do social distancing, where we did a live thing, and we didn't know if it was going to work, but we just started talking, and people really responded to that in a way that we hadn't anticipated, but it worked. And so we just we'll try stuff. And then the other thing I think that is that we both do that is lucky, but it's also because of our the things that we've done in our education and the fact that we are who we are, is that when something happens, we read everything. We both, and we'll shoot new articles back and forth being like, did you see this one? Did you see what, the Toll Brothers guy just said yesterday? Like, so we're constantly getting the information, and then we're applying it to what we're experiencing it. So we're not taking it all in as gospel, but we're just taking in what other people are saying.
Yeah.
And often we'll realize that we are like, because we're boots on the ground, we already know what's happening that the talking heads are talking about. So we're a little bit ahead of them.
And you're discerning about what you read. You don't just accept everything as gospel, which I think is great.
No.
Yeah.
I think
that's
people
really
for
smart.
some reason say pivoting is like an annoying word at this point, because I think from 2020 on, everybody heard it so much. I think then maybe what it is like we expect to evolve because we work hard, so you should evolve, right?
Adapt.
So I think we're just, every time something's changing, we're just like, oh, of course it's changing. How are we going to handle it? Like, that's why you have experience. That's why you have expertise, isn't to stay the same all the time. Like an athlete wouldn't do that. Like an artist wouldn't do that. If like your favorite singer sang the same way all the time, it'd get boring. Like they evolve, they like change. So I think that's what we expect to be doing. But I mean, even I'm surprised that we survived 2020 March, because like that was like.
Well, let's talk about today, for example.
Crazy.
Like, what are you guys doing right now with this low inventory market?
I mean, the first thing we always do is we call our accountant and we say it looks like the market's changing, and then she'll be like
we treat her like a CFO. We do treat her like a CFO. So back to the aforementioned, we treat our business like a business.
We meet with our accountant every month, and like, so, and we're like, here are projections, here's this. And we're like, we're noticing a lot of stuff is falling out. If it's not ours, like around us, we're like, things are changing. Like we need to start figuring out like, what can we cut back on? What should we like do? Like, we always have to like push on like brand no matter what. Like, so I think that's what we're doing now. And you have to look for the silver lining all the time because your career is long. And so right now, the silver lining of there being like lower volume is that we are getting to some of the stuff that we have been pushing. You know, if it's
that during that
clean up your contacts, like get the right font on all your, I don't know, Instagram stories. Like everybody has this like crazy list of stuff. If I just had enough time right now, you actually probably do have enough time, because you should be doing consistently like all the client work and trying to find houses for people with the low inventory and all that. But like, there's also like a less like frenetic energy that we had during some of the last few years that you couldn't
slow down,
go to the bathroom.
So now that, but the thing that we've done consistently through everything and through evolving is we see everything that's on the market. So we see everything. We're aware of kind of what's trending, and we work in all price points. So therefore it's always easy to see everything that's, and we obviously don't see everything, but we see things, enough of a sampling of everything at every price point. And we go out. I mean, we know that New York doesn't have open houses the same way we do, but we're very lucky here in California, because we can go out we go out once during the middle of the week, and then every weekend we're out on the Sundays. So,
or if we're out of town. We rarely go out of town where we don't hit an open house, which is hilarious.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. And internationally, like we've seen things in Morocco and we've seen things in Paris.
Seeing stuff in Morocco was amazing. Paris was fun. Yeah.
So one last thing, your Instagram, your Facebook, it's getting hilarious. You guys are like, it looks like you're serving cocktails at every open house you do now. What is this new campaign that you guys are doing?
Well, we've been doing it for a while now. It's property pairings, where we pair a property with a cocktail.
And it started with our friend. We sold her house, and she also had a house in Italy, and it was like the height of the Aperol Spritz. So we made an Aperol Spritz at her house.
That's
because
hilarious.
We're always like thinking like from the other side. So we're like, okay, you're watching our feed, or you're a buyer and you're looking at all these houses, and you see the kitchen come through 50 times. Like, what does that feel like? It feels boring. So what's more fun is like seeing like an Aperol Spritz in the kitchen, and then on the deck, and then in the bedroom, and like next to the tub. Like it's like our job to keep it fun.
Yeah, because we get bored, so we want to keep it interesting for ourselves also. And so
that's great.
But we do it, and it's, I mean, we're not. Well, I actually did do the Columbia University bartending school, but
it's not helping.
It's not helping.
I called tequila vodka the other day. I didn't even know.
We're not.
I was like, what are you even saying?
So we keep it real. I think we don't take ourselves seriously. I think we take our clients seriously, our work seriously, but we do not take ourselves seriously.
No one is tuning in to find out how to make drinks from us. Like, but they're like, oh yeah, I haven't had an Aperol Spritz in a while, and like that house is really gorgeous. Like that's great.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with me. I really appreciate you two.
We love spending time with you.
So enjoy it. We enjoy our
fun.
friendship, and we enjoy your mentorship. So thank you for that.
It's so helpful.
It goes both ways. I learned so much from you too. So this is another core truth. So thank you all for being here with us today. Thank you, Heather and Learka, and we'll be back.
Bye. Thank you for having us.